Imagine a time before time itself. No earth, no sky, no ocean, no light, only a vast emptiness. Out of this endless void, a force stirred, a spark of creation that would give rise to gods, monsters, and heroes. This is not just myth. This is the story of how the Greeks imagined the universe itself was born, from nothingness to the mighty gods of Olympus. And it all begins with chaos. Welcome to our journey into the history of Greek mythology, where we explore the timeless stories that shaped the beliefs, art, and imagination of an ancient civilization. If you love history, legends, and epic tales of gods and mortals, you're in the right place. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more mythic history, and join us as we unravel the origins of the gods themselves. Let's move right into part 1 of this episode. Long before Zeus hurled his thunderbolts, long before heroes like Heracles, Achilles, or Odysseus roamed the earth, there was only chaos. In the Greek imagination, chaos was not simply disorder. It was the yawning gap, the chasm, the void from which all existence would eventually emerge. It was limitless, formless, and eternal, yet within its emptiness stirred the seeds of creation. From chaos came the first primordial beings. Gaia, the earth, solid and nourishing, the eternal mother who would give foundation to all life. Then came Tartarus, the dark abyss beneath the earth, a realm of shadow and punishment. Erebus, the personification of deep darkness, and Nyx, the goddess of the night, arose as siblings of the void. And from Nyx came day and ether, the bright upper air. Light and darkness were born, establishing the first contrast of existence. This was the dawn of the cosmos as the Greeks envisioned it. There was no single creator god, no architect of all things. Instead, the world unfolded through the union of forces, through the birth of beings that were at once natural and divine. To the ancient Greeks, the earth was alive, the sky was a god, the rivers were divine powers, and every aspect of nature could take shape as a being with a will of its own. Gaia, the great Earth Mother, did not remain alone for long. She brought forth Uranus, the starry sky, her eternal counterpart. Together, Gaia and Uranus would give birth to a powerful race, the Titans. These towering beings, both beautiful and terrifying, would inherit the universe from their parents and struggle over its control. But before the Titans rose, Gaia and Uranus would also bring into existence the monstrous children of chaos, the hundred-handed giants known as the Hecatonchires, and the Cyclopes one-eyed smiths of thunder and fire. Yet Uranus, though vast and magnificent, grew fearful of his own offspring. He saw the power of the Cyclopes, with their single blazing eyes, and the strength of the hundred-handed giants, each with 50 heads and 100 arms. He shuddered at their might. To prevent them from rising against him, Uranus cast them into the depths of Gaia herself, imprisoning them in her womb, forcing the Earth Mother to suffer in pain. Gaia's cries echoed across creation. Her grief and anger gave rise to a plan of rebellion. From her own body, she forged a sickle of adamantine, a weapon strong enough to wound the sky itself. She called upon her Titan children, urging them to rise against their father. Yet fear gripped them, for Uranus was vast and all-encompassing. Only one dared to answer his mother's call: Cronus, the youngest and most ambitious of the Titans. Cronus took up the sickle and prepared to ambush his father. When Uranus descended to lie with Gaia, Cronus struck, severing the sky from the earth with one brutal stroke. The blood of Uranus spilled across the earth, and from it new beings were born. The Furies, spirits of vengeance. The giants, fierce warriors who would one day challenge the Olympians. And the nymphs of the ash tree. From the sea foam around Uranus's severed form arose Aphrodite, goddess of love and desire, whose beauty would sway gods and mortals alike. With Uranus cast down, Cronus and the Titans claimed the universe as their own. A new order began. one ruled not by primordial chaos, but by these mighty beings of earth and sky. Cronus, cunning and ruthless, seized the throne and became king of the cosmos. His reign would be called the Golden Age, a time of peace and abundance, yet it was shadowed by prophecy. For Uranus, as he fell, had cursed Cronus. Just as the son had overthrown the father, so too would Cronus be overthrown by his own child. Fearful of this fate, Cronus took a dark path. Each time his wife, Rhea, gave birth to a child, he swallowed the infant whole. One after another, the children of Cronus and Rhea vanished into the belly of the Titan king, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, all consumed to prevent the prophecy from coming true. But destiny cannot be denied. Rhea, heartbroken by the loss of her children, turned to Gaia for help. Together, they devised a plan. When her next child was born, Rhea wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and gave it to Cronus, who swallowed it greedily, believing he had once again escaped his fate. The true child, Zeus, was hidden away in a cave on the island of Crete, nurtured by nymphs and protected by the Curetes, warriors who clashed their shields to drown out his cries. This secret birth would change the cosmos forever. The child destined to overthrow Cronus was alive, growing in strength, awaiting the day he would rise against the Titans and bring forth a new order of gods, the Olympians. Part 2 of this episode. This section, we will cover Zeus's rise, the Titanomachy, War of Titans and Olympians, and the aftermath leading to the Olympian order. Hidden deep within the cave on Crete, the infant Zeus was nourished by the goat Amalthea, whose milk sustained him, while sacred bees delivered honey, the food of immortals. The nymphs who tended him sang lullabies, while the Curetes clashed their shields in rhythmic dance, concealing his cries from the ears of Cronus. Zeus grew quickly, strong, and cunning, destined to fulfill the prophecy that his father had tried so desperately to escape. As Zeus reached manhood, he sought allies. He turned first to the wisdom of Metis, a Titaness known for her cunning. With her aid, Zeus prepared to challenge Cronus and liberate his swallowed siblings. Metis crafted a potion, a powerful draught, which Zeus offered to his father disguised as a cupbearer. Cronus, unsuspecting, drank deeply. The potion burned within him, and he convulsed, vomiting forth the children he had devoured so long ago. One by one, the gods emerged, not as helpless infants, but as fully grown and powerful beings. Hestia, goddess of the hearth. Demeter, goddess of the harvest. Hera, goddess of marriage. Hades, lord of the underworld. And Poseidon, master of the sea. United with their brother Zeus, they became a formidable force. But the struggle for the cosmos was far from over. The Titans, led by Cronus, refused to relinquish their dominion. Thus began the Titanomachy, the great war between the old gods and the new, a battle that shook the very foundations of the universe. For 10 years, the conflict raged. From the heights of Mount Othrys, the stronghold of the Titans, Cronus and his allies hurled their might against the rising Olympians, who fought from Mount Olympus. Lightning clashed against stone, and the earth itself trembled beneath the fury of their combat. The war seemed endless, neither side yielding, the balance of power hanging by a thread. It was then that Gaia counseled Zeus. She reminded him of the brothers unjustly imprisoned by Uranus and Cronus alike, the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires, buried deep in the abyss of Tartarus. If freed, their strength and skill could turn the tide of battle. Heeding her wisdom, Zeus descended into the underworld, broke their bonds, and released them from their torment. In gratitude, the Cyclopes forged gifts of unimaginable power. For Zeus, they created the thunderbolt, a weapon of pure lightning, unmatched in its fury. For Poseidon, they crafted the trident, a spear that could shatter rock and command the seas. For Hades, they fashioned the helm of darkness, a cap that granted invisibility and dread. Armed with these divine weapons, the Olympians surged with renewed strength. The Hecatonchires, with their 100 hands, hurled boulders and mountains with unrelenting fury. The Titans faltered beneath this onslaught. The sky lit with lightning, the seas roared, and the earth cracked under the violence of the war. At last, the Olympians gained the upper hand. Zeus hurled his thunderbolts with blinding brilliance, striking down the mightiest of the Titans. Poseidon's trident shattered their defenses, while Hades' helm spread terror in their ranks. The once mighty Cronus and his brethren were driven back, overwhelmed by the fury of the younger gods. At the war's end, Zeus and his siblings emerged victorious. The defeated Titans were cast into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, bound in chains forged by the Hecatonchires. Only a few Titans were spared. Oceanus, the river that encircles the world, who had not taken part in the war. Helios, the sun, Selene, the moon, and Eos, the dawn. Others, like Atlas, were punished uniquely, doomed to hold the sky upon his shoulders for all eternity. With the Titans defeated, the age of the Olympians had begun. Zeus, eldest of the new order, claimed the throne of the heavens, ruling as king of gods and men. His brothers shared in the dominion. Poseidon took the seas, Hades received the underworld, and the earth itself was left as common ground for gods and mortals alike. The sisters also held their power. Hestia tended the sacred hearth, Demeter nourished the harvest, and Hera became queen of Olympus. Yet peace was not immediate. The cosmos still trembled with the remnants of chaos, and even the Olympians would face challenges to their reign. For deep within Gaia, the Earth Mother, a new terror stirred. Angered by the defeat of her Titan children, she gave birth to a monster so vast and powerful that even Zeus would tremble. This was Typhon, a serpent-bodied giant whose 100 heads breathed fire, whose wings could blot out the sun, whose voice roared with the sound of 1,000 beasts. When Typhon rose against Olympus, the sky darkened, and the world quaked. The gods themselves fled in terror, disguising themselves as animals to escape his wrath. Zeus alone stood firm. Armed with his thunderbolts, he fought the monster in a battle that raged across the heavens and the earth. Lightning clashed against fire, and the mountains of Greece bore the scars of their struggle. Finally, Zeus triumphed, hurling Typhon beneath Mount Etna, where his fiery breath still erupts as volcanic flame. With Typhon subdued, Zeus secured his rule. The Olympians now stood unchallenged as the lords of the cosmos. From the void of chaos to the overthrow of the Titans and the defeat of monsters, the universe had been shaped through struggle, through cycles of rebellion and triumph. The Greeks saw in these myths a reflection of life itself, that from conflict comes order, from destruction comes creation, and from the fall of one generation rises the next. Let's move right into part 3. Here we'll cover the establishment of Olympian rule, the division of the cosmos, the role of the fates, and the early ages of humankind as the Greeks imagined them. With Typhon defeated and the Titans cast into Tartarus, the reign of the Olympians began in full. Zeus, sitting upon his throne high upon Mount Olympus, ruled as king of gods and mortals. His voice carried the weight of law, his thunderbolts the threat of punishment. Yet his rule was not absolute. The cosmos was divided, and the balance of power carefully maintained among the siblings who had fought by his side. By lot, the brothers had chosen their domains. Zeus claimed the heavens, the endless sky where thunder rolled and lightning flashed. Poseidon drew the seas, ruling over the vast oceans, rivers, and every creature that swam within them. Hades, grim and silent, received the underworld, a shadowy realm beneath the earth where the souls of the dead would dwell. The earth itself, Gaia, was left to all, a shared realm where mortals would one day live and gods would walk unseen among them. Though the realms were divided, the Olympians understood their unity. For the first time, there was order in the universe, not the chaotic births of primordial beings, nor the tyrannical reign of the Titans, but a structured hierarchy with Zeus at its head. On Mount Olympus, the gods built their shining halls. From its heights, they could gaze upon the world below, feasting in golden chambers, yet ever ready to intervene in the affairs of mortals. But even the Olympians were not free from destiny. Beyond them stood powers older still, the Moirai, the Fates, three sisters who spun, measured, and cut the thread of life itself. Clotho spun the thread of existence, Lachesis measured its length, and Atropos cut it with her shears, ending every life, mortal or divine. Even Zeus, king of the gods, could not defy their will. The Greeks understood this well. No matter how great one's power, fate was inescapable. As the Olympians settled their dominion, the stories of mankind began. Hesiod, one of the earliest poets to sing of the gods, described the ages of man, a cycle of rise and decline that mirrored the struggles of the gods themselves. The first was the Golden Age, when Cronus still reigned. In those days, mortals lived like gods, free of sorrow and toil. The earth gave her bounty freely, and death came as a gentle sleep. Yet this age ended with the fall of Cronus, and the world shifted. The Silver Age followed, under the rule of Zeus. Mortals of this era were childlike and foolish, living short lives filled with strife. They refused to honor the gods, and for their impiety, Zeus destroyed them, burying them beneath the earth. Next came the Bronze Age, a time of warriors forged from ash trees. These men were mighty and violent, driven by the lust of battle. Their weapons were of bronze, their homes of bronze, their very lives consumed by war. In the end, they destroyed themselves, leaving nothing behind but ruin. After them arose the Heroic Age, a brief shining moment when men of greatness walked the earth. These were the heroes of legend: Perseus, who slew the Gorgon; Heracles, whose labors defied death; Achilles, swift-footed and nearly invincible; and Odysseus, whose cunning guided him through endless trials. Though mortals, they were touched by the divine, and their deeds lifted them closer to the realm of the gods. Finally came the Iron Age, the age of the poets themselves, the age of ordinary humanity. This was the time when men toiled endlessly, their lives filled with hardship, greed, and injustice. Even family bonds weakened, and piety dwindled. The poets lamented this age as one of decline, when men were far removed from the golden past, living under the shadow of mortality and loss. Through these ages, the Greeks explained not only the creation of the universe, but the condition of mankind itself. Life was fragile, fleeting, and shaped by forces beyond human control. The gods could bless or curse, but fate itself guided every mortal step. Yet the Olympians did not remain aloof. They descended often, mingling with mortals, shaping their destinies, and sometimes even joining their bloodlines. The stories of their loves, their rivalries, and their punishments would fill the myths of Greece for centuries. But here, at the dawn of their reign, the foundations were laid, the order of the gods, the destiny of man, and the eternal cycle of creation and destruction that defined the cosmos. Still, not all threats to Olympus had vanished. Beneath the earth, the Titans stirred in their chains. In the depths of Taurus, they seethed with vengeance. The earth quaked with their fury, and the gods above remained ever watchful. Though Zeus sat upon his throne, lightning in hand, he knew his reign would forever be challenged by those who sought power. The cycle of rebellion that began with Uranus and Cronus could not be forgotten. Let's continue with part 4, diving into the personalities of the Olympians, the story of Prometheus, the theft of fire, Pandora, and the shaping of humanity's destiny. Though Zeus sat supreme upon Mount Olympus, the reign of the Olympians was far from tranquil. Each god possessed a distinct personality, a domain of influence and passions that could stir the cosmos itself. Hera, queen of the gods, watched over marriage and the bonds of family. Yet her jealousy towards Zeus's mortal lovers and illegitimate children often sparked divine conflict. Poseidon, lord of the seas, wielded his trident with a temper as changeable as the ocean, capable of calming waters or summoning storms that swallowed ships whole. Athena, born fully grown and armored from the head of Zeus, embodied wisdom and strategy, a goddess whose counsel could guide warriors to victory. Apollo, radiant and articulate, presided over music, prophecy, and the healing arts, while his twin sister Artemis ruled the forests and the hunt, fierce and untamed. Hermes, fleet-footed messenger of the gods, traversed the worlds of mortals and immortals, delivering messages with cunning and mischief. And yet, even among themselves, the Olympians experienced rivalry, desire, and intrigue, shaping the lives of gods and mortals alike. Amid this divine order, the human world awaited its shaping. Mortals had already endured the cycles of the ages, the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, yet they were still unready for the full gifts of civilization. It was Prometheus, the clever Titan, who saw their potential and defied the will of Zeus to empower humankind. Prometheus, whose name means forethought, was a being of cunning intelligence. He had witnessed the struggles of men and their vulnerability to nature and the whims of the gods. Against the command of Zeus, he stole fire from Olympus, bringing warmth, light, and the spark of civilization to mortals. With fire came cooking, metalwork, and the beginnings of industry, a tool that elevated humanity above mere survival. Yet Zeus's wrath was swift. He viewed Prometheus's act as rebellion, a direct challenge to the order of Olympus. To punish the Titan and set an example, Zeus had Prometheus chained to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, where an eagle would daily feast upon his liver, which regenerated each night. The agony was eternal, yet Prometheus endured, a symbol of defiance and foresight, the eternal advocate for humanity. But the punishment of one Titan was not enough to contain human ambition. Zeus sought to remind mortals of their mortality and limitations. From clay, he commanded Hephaestus, the divine smith, to shape a woman, Pandora. Each god endowed her with a gift: beauty from Aphrodite, charm from Hermes, curiosity from Athena. She was exquisite, yet also a vessel of consequence. When Pandora was given to Epimetheus, Prometheus's brother, she carried with her a jar, often miscalled a box, which contained all the evils of the world. Curiosity overtook caution, and when she opened it, sickness, toil, sorrow, and death spilled forth, leaving only hope inside once she managed to close it again. In this myth, the Greeks explained the dual nature of human existence, a world of labor, suffering, and unpredictability, yet always accompanied by a glimmer of hope to endure. Through the actions of Prometheus and Pandora, humanity was forever changed. Mortals now had fire, intelligence, and the capacity to shape the world, but they also faced mortality, disease, and the trials of existence. The Olympians, while rulers of the cosmos, were intimately connected to this human experience. Their triumphs, conflicts, and passions mirrored the struggles of mankind, offering both cautionary tales and models for behavior. Even Zeus, the king of gods, understood that power required balance. His judgments, tempered by justice and occasional mercy, maintained the delicate order of the universe. But the myths remind us that this order was always fragile, threatened by rebellion, ambition, and the unpredictable nature of both gods and mortals. It was within this framework that Greek civilization flourished, crafting epic tales that would endure for millennia. From the union of chaos to the rise of the Titans, the reign of the Olympians, and the shaping of humanity through fire, suffering, and hope, the Greeks created a tapestry of stories that explained the cosmos and human nature alike. These myths were not just entertainment. They were a lens through which people understood the forces that governed their world, the cycles of life and death, and the eternal tension between freedom and fate. As we explore the origins of Greek mythology, we see a universe alive with personality, conflict, and consequence. Every god, every titan, every mortal plays a role in a narrative that stretches from the void of chaos to the civilizations of men. And this story, told through generations, continues to inspire art, literature, and philosophy even today. Let's move into part 5, where we explore the Olympians' interactions with mortals, the emergence of early hero myths, and the moral and cultural lessons embedded in Greek mythology. This will carry the script closer to completion. With the foundation of the Olympian order established and humanity shaped by both gift and curse, the gods turn their attention to the world of mortals. Unlike the distant, impersonal deities of some other traditions, the Greek gods were intimately involved in human affairs. They rewarded devotion, punished impiety, and often walked among mortals in disguise, testing their courage, loyalty, and cleverness. Temples arose across the lands, each dedicated to a different deity, where priests and priestesses offered sacrifices, chanted hymns, and performed rituals to honor the gods. Mortals sought favor in their daily lives, from the growth of crops to the outcomes of battles, believing that the gods' blessings could tip the balance in their favor. Festivals were held in honor of particular gods: the Panathenea for Athena, the Dionysia for Dionysus, and countless local celebrations that tied communities to the divine. These rituals were more than religious observances. They were social glue, linking families, cities, and entire regions through shared belief. Yet divine favor was not guaranteed. Mortals often found themselves at the mercy of God's whims, their destinies entangled with the personalities of immortal beings. Take the story of Niobe, whose pride led her to boast that she was superior to Leto, mother of Apollo and Artemis. For her hubris, the twin gods slew her children, leaving Niobe to weep endlessly, a symbol of grief and the dangers of pride. Or consider King Midas, whose desire for wealth brought him a golden touch that became a curse, demonstrating the perils of greed. Amid these interactions arose the heroes, mortals, and demigods, whose deeds bridged the gap between gods and men. These figures, often born of unions between mortals and immortals, embody both human frailty and divine potential. Heracles, born of Zeus and the mortal Alcmena, faced impossible labors to atone for a tragic mistake. Perseus, guided by Athena and Hermes, slayed the Gorgon Medusa, using both courage and cleverness. These heroes served as models of virtue, cunning, and resilience, their stories illustrating the values the Greeks held dear. The myths also conveyed moral lessons through cautionary tales. Humans were reminded to respect the gods, to practice moderation, and to recognize the limits of mortal power. Hubris, or excessive pride, was a recurring theme, a reminder that no matter how talented or clever one might be, the favor of the gods could be lost in an instant. The Greeks saw life as a delicate balance, where wisdom and humility were as vital as strength and courage. But mythology was not confined to moral instruction alone. It was a lens through which the Greeks understood natural phenomena. Thunder and lightning were attributed to Zeus, earthquakes to Poseidon's trident, volcanic eruptions and storms to the restless wrath of gods and titans. Rivers, mountains, and forests were imbued with divine presence, each possessing nymphs or spirits who guarded their realms. Myths explained the cycles of the seasons, the origins of crops, and the passage of time itself, creating a framework that intertwined the sacred and the everyday. Even as the Olympians maintained their dominion, the echoes of the primordial past remained. Chaos, Gaia, and the Titans lingered at the edges of consciousness and myth, reminding mortals that the universe had been born from conflict, rebellion, and transformation. These forces, though subdued, symbolize the eternal tension between creation and destruction, order and disorder. The stories of the gods and heroes inspired poets, artists, and philosophers for generations. Hesiod, with his theogony, provided a genealogy of gods and a roadmap of cosmic order. Homer, in the Iliad and Odyssey, brought the heroics of mortals into dialogue with divine will, exploring themes of honor, wrath, and destiny. Sculptors and painters depicted gods in marble and on pottery, capturing both their majesty and their human-like flaws. Through these cultural expressions, Greek mythology became more than a collection of stories. It became the foundation of Greek identity, values, and imagination. Thus, the origins of Greek mythology offer more than tales of gods and monsters. They reveal how the Greeks understood their world, their place in it, and the forces, both seen and unseen, that shaped their lives. From the abyss of chaos to the reign of Zeus, from Prometheus's defiance to the gifts and punishments of the gods, these myths weave a tapestry of cosmic drama, human struggle, and the enduring question of fate and free will. And even today, these ancient stories continue to captivate us. They influence literature, film, and art. They inspire reflection on morality, power, and the mysteries of existence. And they remind us that the human imagination, like that of the Greeks, seeks to explain, to question, and to dream. Here's the final section of this episode. As the stories of gods, titans, and mortals unfolded across time, Greek mythology became more than mere tales. It became a mirror of human nature and the cosmos itself. These myths captured the imagination of a civilization, providing not only entertainment but guidance, reflection, and a sense of connection to the forces beyond mortal comprehension. The legacy of the Greek myths endures in countless ways. They offer insight into the values and fears of the ancient Greeks, the reverence for order and justice, the inevitability of fate, the consequences of pride, and the importance of wisdom and courage. They show us that even divine beings were not immune to flaws, and that humanity, despite its fragility, could achieve greatness through ingenuity, bravery, and perseverance. Artists, sculptors, and writers across centuries have drawn inspiration from these stories. The marble statues of gods and heroes, the vibrant depictions on pottery, the epic poetry of Homer and Hesiod, all carry forward the imagination of the Greeks, keeping alive the dramas of Olympus and the lessons of the past. Even today, in novels, films, and television, echoes of Zeus's thunderbolt, Athena's wisdom, and Prometheus's defiant fire continue to inspire modern audiences, bridging the gap between ancient and contemporary culture. Moreover, these myths offer timeless reflections on the human condition. They remind us that life is a delicate balance of creation and destruction, triumph and suffering, love and jealousy, order and chaos. The struggles of gods and mortals alike reveal universal truths that courage matters, that wisdom guides, and that hope endures even amidst the darkest trials. From chaos to the Titans, from the Olympians' rise to the shaping of human destiny, Greek mythology provides a profound narrative of origin, conflict, and moral insight. It is a story of beginnings, of the universe, of gods, and of humanity itself. And in exploring these myths, we gain not only knowledge of the past, but an understanding of the timeless questions that continue to shape human thought. Who are we? Why are we here? And how do we navigate a world that is both beautiful and perilous? As we conclude this first episode, remember that the stories of Greek mythology are living stories. They endure because they speak to our imagination, our fears, our hopes, and our endless curiosity about the world around us. The tales of Zeus, Cronus, Prometheus, Pandora, and the heroes who walked the earth remind us that mythology is not just about gods and monsters. It is about the enduring spirit of humanity itself. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the origins of Greek mythology. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed our exploration, share it with fellow mythology enthusiasts, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the legends and history that shaped the world. Comment below and tell us which god, hero, or myth fascinates you the most. We'll explore them in future episodes. And always remember, the myths of the past continue to illuminate our present, offering wisdom, wonder, and the spark of imagination. From the emptiness of chaos to the reign of the Olympians, the stories we have explored today remind us that every ending is a beginning, every struggle is a lesson, and every myth carries a spark of truth that continues to shine across the centuries.